Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about the reason you spiral when nothing is wrong in the relationship. And this episode is really going to hit if you are having a great time, the relationship is good, things are going great, the weekend's going good, everything is going smooth, and you are white knuckling the heck out of it, waiting for this imaginary shoe to drop. Another way that you can tell this episode is going to be great for you is that there is a pattern. So for me, this was like seriously because Craig and I lived long distance ish. It was almost like every Monday or Wednesday after the time together, there's a pattern. So things will be great, have a good time together, and then boom, Monday hits and we're spiraling. Or they're doing nice things, they're being kind, and you are just doubting the heck out of it. Or I even used to say to myself, well, they have to. They're dating me. Like they're not just being nice because they care about me and I'm special. No, they're just doing it because they feel like they have to. And like I've been kind of mentioning, and I want to share this too, there is major impact to that. So if you are in a place where you're spiraling when nothing is wrong, one of the big impacts is that I mentioned this in the most recent podcast, but you become a prisoner. You become a prisoner to these imaginary things, this imaginary shoe that's going to drop, the sky that's going to fall, but the sky never falls. You become a prisoner. Your world becomes really small. And a lot of times we create a self-fulfilling prophecy. We actually create the thing, the friction, the fight, the argument, because we're feeling so much internal pressure over this imaginary thing because things are actually going great. And I will totally admit, I used to blow it up on my own because there was something underneath going on. We're going to touch on that today. So if that is resonating with you, then this is an episode, a podcast episode all about that. And we take this so much deeper inside my community, the Healing Girl Gang. The topic for this month is definitely about how our mind gets in our own way. And yeah, the membership inside the Healing Girl Gang, we always take things deeper. So let's dive in. And if you're new here, my name is Claire. I love helping high achieving, high performing girlies who you are slaying out there in your career. You are climbing the corporate ladder, you are getting letters behind your name, you're high action, high function in your business. And while that all might be great on paper and from the outside, inside, you are struggling in your relationship with spiraling. You are second guessing yourself and them. You're feeling highly anxious the moment that they're not replying back to your text, even though you know that they're at a work thing. They have a big project. Their family member is sick. It doesn't matter. You are feeling like, oh my gosh, they're going to break up. So if that is you, then sweetheart, you're in the right place. And if this episode or any other episode is landing for you, hitting the 5 stars means so much. So appreciate you doing that. It takes 2 seconds and it feels nice to have a high five from you. So thanks for the high five, the 5 stars. And I just also want to take a moment here to, I'm so excited about including this little piece here around doing my one-on-one client shout outs because I don't know if I mean, of course, individually, I give them a lot of love, but I am just so stinking proud of them. Where one of my clients, she is doing all the things. She's working at a law office. She has a very big business in Montana. I believe she just sent me this message. Her business reached over 500,000 this past yesterday. And everything that she's making until the end of season is profit. And not only is that like a huge win, but for her earlier in the week, she had a really rough brush with some people pleasing. She said no, which in itself feels really scary, but a huge win. And that is huge, as she said no as a people pleaser. But something that I was thinking about as I was making this podcast outline and looking at my notes was that her boyfriend, who has been a real sweetheart, is really stepped up for her, like helped her with this car issue she had, was really sweet, really stepping up. And she said that. And I am just so stinking proud of her, because a big reason why spiraling happens is because we sit back. And not necessarily sit back, but we aren't taking the steps and the action to stop the spiral. And one thing that I want to celebrate with this client is that she has been so freaking consistent and doing the repetitions, even when it's hard, even when she would just rather default to her anxious operating system, that the celebration is really that she's allowed to let the love in, and her boyfriend has shown up above and beyond, not necessarily because she made him do that, but because she has learned to feel safe and secure. And when we do that, our partners will show up in a different way, because a rising tide raises all ships. So big celebration for her, saying no, stopping the people pleasing, and added bonus, her partner is stepping up because she steps up too. So super cute. And a little life update. So I talked last time about how I went on this little camping trip, and I have been refining this for a long time, and it's just so good. Maybe I'll share this recipe, but I have nailed down the perfect protein banana bread. High protein, high fiber. Cannot stop eating it. Maybe it's the chocolate, like the whole bag of chocolate that I put in it. But anyway, really good, funny little thing that I've nailed down. And I took that on my camping trip, and I finally just finished it today. And I was literally thinking I need to make this again, but I wanted to tell somebody about it. So here we are talking about banana bread. And I guess food is the theme today. And also I made a story about how Craig made me steak on my first day of bleeding. And first of all, I can't recommend that enough, because truly having that steak, and maybe a couple of things I've heard, just like the higher protein, which I'm all about the protein, obviously high protein banana bread, but having him make it also was really sweet. And something that I noticed about myself, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, was part of me was sitting there, an old part of me would have sat there literally wringing my hands. Oh my gosh, I need to get in there. And this updated version of me was so happy to just sit back, relax, him bring me the steak that he made, the delicious potatoes that he made, and enjoy it. And I just want to say from personal experience, and as I've mentioned before, I'm on this journey with you. I might be a few steps ahead, or a few, a mile ahead, but I'm still on the path with you. And I genuinely had this thought around this topic today, why we're spiraling and nothing's wrong. I was under this impression in the past that you had to do everything together. And I'll just even call myself out. Like, Craig and I do a lot of things together. We do. We live together. We do a lot together, but I can just really see so clearly that this misunderstanding and this undercover belief system that we had to do everything together. And I had really in the past told myself that if X was happening, that meaning X being, if we're not doing things together all the time, then bad things would happen. Okay, that was just like an undercover belief. And really, when I was sitting there waiting for this delicious steak, which was medium rare, God, I think I actually have leftovers. But anyway, but the real fear underneath that was really about abandonment. And that if I do my own thing and he does his thing, then why would he want to come back? Why would he want to reconnect? And when I started really doing the deeper work around and introspection and reflection around it, and my own deeper work around it, this realization came about that the real fear is just feeling like I'm alone. And something that I think is really important to look at, if you are still spiraling and nothing is wrong, is that a lot of times we're under this impression that the spiral happens out of nowhere. And I'm willing to put money on this. I'm willing to put money on this because I see this in my one-on-one clients. I see this in the Healing Girl Gang, and I see this in my community. But I hate to be the bearer of Brad. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the spirals aren't coming out of nowhere, honey. I love you. I love you so much, but they're not coming out of nowhere. The reality is your habits, write this down if you want to, but your habits fuel the spiral. Straight up. Your habits fuel the spiral. And so this is why we feel like the spirals happen out of nowhere or nothing is happening and then boom, we're just like second guessing everything. So the spiral, let me just break this down in a simple way. Your spirals are behavior that you've learned to rely on. Okay. And in fact, I will even say this. This is also, if you listen to the episode before this one, you might be highly self-aware. And I have a guilty confession. Sometimes when I would do this, it would feel like an indulgence. And also, after the spiral was done, I'd feel a minor bit of relief. Like, oh, I thought about all the scenarios. Whew. But still, even after that brief moment of like, okay, I got it out of my system, still feeling like crap. So your habits fuel the spiral. And the spirals don't come out of nowhere, because what we don't realize is that the thing that leads up to the big hit or the big instance of, okay, it's official, the 5-minute delay in texting, he didn't text back. The reality is that the steps leading up to that moment of the breakdown or the spiral is that it's unconsciously active. All right. It is simmering underneath the surface. This is why so much of healing, I'm going to give this to you. I want you to have this. No gatekeeping. The first key is awareness. And I've said this before. I will say it again. You don't know what you don't know. And this is why healing is such a deep, introspective, reflective experience where you don't know what you don't know. And so a lot of times oh, the spiral came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. It was unconsciously working underneath your awareness. And so that's the reason why you're spiraling. It's happening underneath the surface. And so that is why when I work with clients, whether one-on-one or in the Healing Girl Gang, we don't take a passive approach. And a lot of times this unconscious activity is passive, right? We're just like, oh my gosh, it happened out of nowhere. And so it tends to be a passive thing. And so much of what I do with clients is active. It's intentional action, intentional and intelligent action. And I was thinking about something that a yoga teacher once told me, my favorite teacher, one of my favorite teachers, and to get a certain difficult pose. So say you want to get your foot to your head in a back bend, or you want to do handstand, you could sure put your hands down on the ground with straight arms and flop your feet into the air. Okay. Like, sure. Like you can try and do that. But what really makes a difference is intelligent, informed, aligned action. So, and I'm saying this too, I'm revisiting handstand. I used to be able to pop into handstand, no problem. And I'm recognizing that there takes like body intelligence. It takes alignment, where if my shoulders are not over my hands, then then the handstand's going to be an angle. I'm not going to be able to get vertical. So much of what I've learned in yoga, some of the teachings and the core principles of yoga, we can look at with our own healing journey with anxious attachment, that we have to take intentional action. And I will just say this. Take a handstand, for example. At some point, putting your hands in the ground and flopping your feet in the sky, sure, like that's you're getting your wrists used to pressing into the ground. You're in that direction. But if you're not getting vertical, you have to look at, okay, what's my alignment? So I'll just relate this to, okay, you're still spiraling. Nothing is wrong. I'm journaling. I'm listening to the podcast. I'm reading. Like, okay, great. I'm not saying any of those are bad. All of those have a place and a they're adding to the overall recipe, right? But if a food analogy, okay, if you are just dumping all the ingredients into a bowl for the cookie and you're like, this tastes like hardtack, then it's not necessarily the ingredient that's the bad thing. It's how are you putting the wet with the wet and the dry with the dry and then mixing them together. Oh, wow. Is this landing? If you are just dumping it all in a bowl and then hoping it just kind of comes into something edible, hello, it's not going to taste that great, right? And it's not because you've got bad flour or the chocolate chips are not good or that the butter's sour. No, it's really about informed, aligned action. Okay. And so, again, there's nothing wrong with journaling. There's nothing wrong. In fact, those are all important things with sitting down in meditation, with moving your body. All of these are important. But if they're not working anymore, you have to look at, is it intentional? Is it aligned? Is it informed to get the result that you want? Okay. Dumping a bunch of stuff into a bowl and hoping it comes out as the best chocolate chip cookie is not a great strategy. It might, if you need something to eat, sure, it might work, but it's not going to make the best chocolate chip cookie that's going to go viral on TikTok. All right. So the reason you spiral is because your habits are fueling the spiral, right? These tiny actions, misinformed things that you're doing that aren't aligning with the result that you want is why you're spiraling. So that being said, one thing that I'm really excited to talk about right now is the Healing Girl Gang and answering some questions. Carrie's got a question. And if you are brand new to this, the Healing Girl Gang, it's the gang. It's where I teach the what, the why, and the how in different formats because we all learn in different ways. There's a masterclass training that teaches you the what, the why. There's implementation days where I literally teach you what to implement. This is like the alignment piece so that you stop spiraling, and lots of other things. You can check out the show notes, but let's answer this question from Carrie. Carrie says, I've been seeing my partner since May, officially dating since August. Congratulations. He's wonderful. Love that. Dedicates time and lots of effort towards me and our relationship. I consistently am getting anxious about planning. When am I going to see him again? We usually spend weekends together and maybe one night during the week, etc. He needs alone time to recharge, and I, for some reason, am getting anxious. Even though he's clear, he makes time for me. I feel silly even writing this. Any advice on how to navigate? So, love this. I think I actually know which Carrie this is. So, Carrie, one thing that just seems pretty obvious to say right now in this moment is that how is your self-trust? And the reason why I ask this question, I want you to ask yourself this question, is that a lot of times when we are outsourcing our trust, meaning we are looking to them to make us feel better, we want them to to text us more, to tell us that they love us more, or we're constantly seeking that reassurance. I can look at how much somebody trusts themselves and tell you how high your anxiety is going to be. And the less we trust ourselves, the more anxious we're going to feel. And it actually doesn't even matter how much or how often this person sees us. And to be quite honest, this sounds very similar to my husband and I's relationship early on. We were long distance-ish. He lived in Boulder. And so if you're not familiar with Colorado, I lived in South Metro Denver. So basically like as far apart in a reasonable distance as you could be. So 55 minutes without traffic, more like an hour 15 with traffic, busy, what's it called? Traffic, commute, busy, rush hour. I feel like I played categories to myself just now. Okay. So I'm just looking at, okay, well, first of all, I actually think it's great because a lot of times with a long distance-ish, we tend to go at a slower pace because you're not living in the same neighborhood. There's more spaciousness that's built into the relationship. I actually think it's great for anxious attached girlies. But one thing that I'm going to say is that this is actually a pretty decent format for somebody to be in a dating phase and it's brand new where you're seeing each other on the weekends and once during the week. That's healthy, I think. in my opinion. And if he's saying that he needs time to recharge, yeah, that's, I would also say, not just normal, but appropriate. That not just he needs time to recharge, who needs time to recharge? Hint, hint, you got ear pods on and you're listening to this. You also need time to recharge, to pour into yourself, to know what you like, to go to the gym, to do a hobby. Okay. So, and I say that, and the question that I pose to you is, how much do you trust yourself? When we are not doing those things, when we are not understanding what lights us up, when we are not interested, or we are more interested in what they're doing versus what the heck you're doing, then of course it makes sense why you're feeling anxious, because your self-trust and self-awareness is suboptimal. Let's just say that kindly. It's suboptimal, because then naturally you're going to want to outsource your joy and outsource your happiness to this other person. And quite honestly, that can be a really heavy load to lift. And if your well is empty and you're asking them to fill your well, that's also going to cause problems, because they're going to be like, well, what's going on with your well? Wait, you're not even filling up your own well? So therein lies the issue. It's less about like, how do I handle this conversation with him, and less about what's going on. And on paper, without knowing much more about what's going on, I think this is great. I think it's a good position to be in. The better question is, how are you filling your own cup up? Okay. Are you, and I, this happens in my family. We have like food envy, where I'll be looking at Craig's burger, and like, I'll have my own burger literally on my plate. Like, I just want to taste his. We start to get like attention envy, where, why aren't they paying attention to me? You have a burger on your own plate. Are you eating the burger? Are you enjoying your burger? Are you focused on what you've got in front of you? So that's what I would say with that. And of course, you're in the Healing Girl Gang. We have all the resources, and hop on a call. Happy to walk you through this. So if you're still spiraling, look at your habits, and I can absolutely answer more questions than that. Send me a DM, and I'll see you angels soon. Love you. Mwah.